Ep.8-Aaaction. Welcome to Movie News. This is going to be episode 8 of the Movie News podcast. Today on April 25th, and I believe it'll actually go out today. Even though it's the draft, Pete, I'm going to try and knock this out and get it out. So,
yeah.
Well, let's get into it. We got a lot of new stories coming out, a lot of development stuff coming out, and all that good stuff. The first one we're going to start with, this is in no particular order, people. This is just kind of the order we went with, so bear with. But the first story that we have is Keanu Reeves will return as in Ballerina as John Wick. So for you John Wick fans, this is a extension into the John Wick universe, just like the Continental was. So
he has a couple of things coming out. That one, which I'm super fired up about, because of my girlfriend's in it, Anna Diarmas. So she plays the ballerina. So of course I'm looking forward to that. And we knew that it was going to be in the Wick universe, but to actually get that note that Keanu Reeves is actually going to show up as John Wick at some point, that's exciting. That's going to get some eyes on this.
Yeah, for sure. And we've already announced here that there's already a John Wick 5 in development, and so this will probably maybe lead into that. That's what I would assume, but
just hope it doesn't turn into a Fast X, where it's like John Wick X and a big giant ball rolling through Rome.
As long as they stick to the practical, I think that's what this movie has over the other one. So,
but speaking of Keanu Reeves, he's also been cast as Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 3 coming up, and that's a big deal for my kids. They absolutely love the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. I didn't watch them initially at first, but now that I've seen them with my kids, they're really well done. They're like good movies. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm fired up about this one for sure.
Yeah, same here. I've been all in on the Sonic. I mean, I watched it just because it was like that obligation.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're saying, like, just like Super Mario Brothers, I feel like they've really done a good job of actually writing the scripts and making them entertainment. And yeah, video games used to be a death trap when it came to films, but right now I don't
put real thought into who was going to be the actors that would perform these things. Like, I know that, like in the case of Super Mario Brothers, there was a lot of backlash with Chris Pratt, and he just got absolutely destroyed. And then the movie came out, and now people are talking about how great he is. So yeah, it's just like whatever.
Yeah. But again, at the end of the day, I think it was a good script and it was a well-made movie. And I think that's the genesis is it has to be a good script, because I think in the past that's where the movies kind of always those movies always kind of they maybe stuck too true to the video games. Or they didn't make it a movie, and that can get
movie.
Yeah, exactly. That can get you in trouble. So, awesome. And then, in Henry Cavill news, a few different things. Him and Jake Gyllenhaal are going to be starring a new Guy Richie movie called In the Gray, about stealing back money that was stolen from rich criminals.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and obviously, both those guys were in the last two films that Guy Richie did, both Ungenly Warfare, Ministry of Ungenly Warfare, and The Covenant, which we love.
And Henry Cavill's getting a lot of play right now. I know that he struggled, getting work for a long time, as gorgeous as he is as an actor, right? But, Superman did some things for him, and that really put him on the map. I think we're now starting to see what Henry Cavill's all about. He is going to start producing things that are going to probably blow our minds, because he's that good. And Jake Gyllenhaal is a seasoned pro at this point. He's been acting since he was like 12.
Yeah.
These are two amazing characters. So, yay. And Guy Ritchie's great, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then that will lead into our next story, which is Henry Cavill has also been cast as Lion-O in the new Thundercats movie directed by Adam Wingard.
That's incredible. I'm nervous about a Thundercats movie, because that's near and dear, right? I mean, we watched that forever as kids, so I just hope it's well done, like Sonic or
I don't have like necessarily an attachment to Thundercats in terms of like story, if that makes sense. Like as long as it's a good script, I should be all in on it. I
Right.
don't really have. I mean, I remember the characters, but I don't really remember what it's about or anything like that. So,
It's about Thundercats, Paul.
yeah.
About cats who
So,
wield
like I
thunder.
said, as long as it's good, I'm all in. So, all right. Next, we have the Monopoly movie has officially been greenlit by Hasbro, and will star Margot Robbie, and Lionsgate's also involved in this one.
This is really interesting because what can you possibly do with the game of Monopoly and make it a feature film? So I'm fascinated by this premise.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I
I
mean,
don't know how that's gonna play out.
I
But you
mean,
put
yeah,
Margot Robbie in anything, I'm watching it.
I feel like you definitely got to star, the guy, right? I forget his name off the top of my head, but
With the monocles.
yeah,
Well, monocle.
yeah, yeah,
Plural. With the
that'd be,
monocles.
yeah. That's basically,
Both monocles up at the same time.
yeah.
And in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle world news, there is a new TMNT The Last Ronin being developed right now, which I'm actually really quite excited about because the premise is that the turtles in Splinter are killed off one by one by the grandson of Shredder.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And if it's done in the same vein as the last TMNT that we saw, this is going to be a killer movie.
Well, and this one I heard is rated R too, so that's a,
Ooh.
that's obviously this will be much darker. So I'm almost more down if this is like a Dark Knight versus, the other one. Although I would be 100% fine if it was like the other one, but yeah, I'm curious about that one. This one I'm excited about, but a Chris Farley biopic is in the works, starring Paul Walter Hauser. He was in the Olympic shooter movie. I forget what that movie was called, but
I think it's
and
called Olympic Shooter Movie.
yeah, exactly. He's been Cobra Kai, among other films. You know his face once you see him, but the pictures look good. He's a good actor, so
He was nominated recently for one of his roles. Shoot, let me look him up while you talk.
But yeah, ultimately I'm interested in this one. I'm definitely curious who's going to be, David Spade, who'll probably have a role in this movie.
It was Richard Jewell in the Richard Jewell movie.
Yeah, that's the Atlanta Olympics.
Yeah, the Richard Jewell movie, and then he was in Blackbird, which I think is the one that he was nominated for, as supporting actor or something for a series, a limited series or whatever. This guy is amazing as an actor.
Yeah, for sure. And again, he's most recently been in Cobra Kai.
Right.
So very good in that one. So yeah. And then you're
Yeah, so the WB has just landed Color Purple director Blitz Bazawul to
not the WBP, Warner Brothers. There's a big difference.
Okay, sorry. Warner Brothers, take two. The Warner Brothers has just landed Color Purple director Blitz Bazawul to direct a Black Samurai film about basically the first Black Samurai to ever exist, and what happens with that. If I know this director as well as I do, and what he's produced, this is going to be a fantastic film. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Wasn't one of the Wu-Tang guys, was that a premise in a TV show or in real life?
I don't know. The only samurai movie I know is The Last Samurai, which is like the white samurai who just shows up out of nowhere and saves the day.
It was either in Entourage or is in Californication, because he was also in Californication.
Maybe.
What's the Wu-Tang member? I forget his name, but I think either he was playing that character in movies. So that's interesting that he's in it. His name escapes me. Well, there's the RZA. Oh, RZA. Yeah, RZA. Yeah, he played Samurai Apocalypse. So I think that's That's what his character was Black Samurai. Who? What did Blitz?
No, it was Afro. I thought it was Afro Samurai.
I don't know, but I know he's been interested in that character for a while.
Amazing.
What did Blitz Bazarul do?
Color Purple.
Oh, got it. Yeah, never mind. You said it right there. My bad.
Yeah,
awesome.
And it was a highly touted film, according to you.
Next, which is you can see right behind me here, the Frank Sinatra biopic has been greenlit, directed by Martin Scorcese, and Leonardo Dicaprio has been cast as Old Blue Eyes, I believe was his nickname, and as well as Jennifer Lawrence has been cast as well. This is probably one of the bigger news because this is not a small project. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, listen, Scorsese, you don't let Killers of the Flower Moon kind of fool you. You know, don't let that kind of get you not excited about what this guy can actually produce. He's the greatest living director that we have right now. So any time that he announces what he's doing next,
I'm still going to go Spielberg on that one, but
okay, fine. You can talk about him next. But for now, we're talking about the greatest living director, Martin Scorsese. And anytime he puts out a film, you're excited about it. You know it's going to be flawless to a point. And then when you add Leo and Jade Law to the mix, you know it's going to be an absolutely stunning film. So this is going to be fantastic. But it really all depends on what angle he's going to take when he's approaching the Frank Sinatra story, because, I mean, it's vast. I mean, the Frank Sinatra world is massive.
Yeah.
Is it early? Is it his heyday? Is it his later years? Is it affiliated with the mob? What is it? So is it his movie career? There's just so many aspects. And how do you kind of encapsulate his life in a 2 to 2.5 hour or a 7-hour film like Scorsese?
If we're lucky, it's a 2-hour film.
If we're lucky, it's a 2-hour film.
That's going to be my whole thing. I mean, dude, if this is another 3.5, 4-hour film, like his last two films, this is where, again, I disagree with you. Martin Scorsese, I do not think is the best director currently, because he just doesn't have the amount of hits that Steven Spielberg does. And I think, again, Steven Spielberg's not perfect either. No director is, but Steven Spielberg still, I believe, has the discipline to restrain his films from being 17 hours long and entertaining.
Sure. You know? But this is certainly not the platform for a debate. However,
that's actually 100% what this platform is for, Pete.
I mean, what Scorsese brought to directing and the innovative things that he accomplished early on in his career and through up until maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, he's brought in ways of doing directing that they weren't inside of a box. You weren't this is how you're supposed to direct. He did things you weren't supposed to do in films, and he made them standard today. And Spielberg did also. So I mean, that's why it's debatable, right? That whole rack focus in Jaws was incredible. And, I think the difference is that Spielberg is a storyteller and can tell a story really well, as opposed to Scorsese, who does these epics that are, really great stories, but they are epics. And there are going to be times where you're just it's just so long.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm on your boat. Maybe you'd convince me.
Well, and I believe, don't quote me on this off the top of my head, but I believe that, even just awards. So I know Spielberg, I'm assuming, has grossed more money, his films. And then also, again, I think hardware, I believe he probably has more hardware as well. But again, I would need to actually do that research, but we'll have this debate another day. Awesome. Next, we have Spielberg's has a new UFO film. Obviously, I believe his last actual UFO film would have been Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You've seen that one, right, Pete?
Well, Close Encounters, but then wasn't Super 8 also a alien? Well, I guess this is
Yeah.
UFO, not alien.
Well, and he didn't direct.
Yeah, he didn't direct that, but he certainly
Heavily involved. Yeah,
influenced that movie.
100%. Yeah, that was him and J.J. Abrams working together.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess UFO versus alien, those are two different sort of genres, right? Because
Yeah.
they are really two different things. So
I mean,
yeah,
he technically is. Oh, I see what you're saying. A UFO is. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, UFO was like Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Alien would be like ET
Yeah.
or Super 8.
For sure. Yeah. But
Yeah.
either way, I'm excited. I do think this is definitely Spielberg's kind of wheelhouse when it comes to, storytelling. So I'm excited for
He's
this.
going to crush this film. There's no doubt about that. And he's going to put every bit of thought that he's supposed to. And that's what we expect. And it's what he delivers every time as the greatest living director that we have today, Spielberg, right?
There you
America.
go.
And in tragic news, we just heard that Tarantino has scrapped his prequel or sequel to the Cliff Booth character, the Brad Pitt character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, called The Movie Critic. Apparently, this movie is now no longer on the table. He has scrapped it completely, and that is really unfortunate. Although I would say that I'm happy that he didn't go to the sequel route or prequel route for his final film. If he's only doing 10 films, then I'm glad that he's not going to do that. And it hopefully when he does come out with a 10th film, it's going to be an original story that we can all enjoy and it becomes the best Quentin Tarantino movie that we've ever seen, just like Once Upon a Time was.
Yeah. You have a point, and I understand what you're saying. Um, I'm disappointed because I just liked how it. I don't know obviously the premise, but it was interesting, and I was kind of all in on that, especially because I did love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much. So I'm kind of sad
Brad Pitt was so good.
yeah, I'm sad that that's not happening, but I kind of understand what you were saying.
That's just my opinion. If you're gonna, I mean, every film that he does is original, and that's what I love about them. I mean, original in the sense that he takes every piece of film knowledge that he's ever had in all of his life and he puts it into one film,
Yeah,
makes it original. And if he did a sequel or a prequel, it just feels like, all right, well, that's your last film. You're just gonna do that. It just doesn't.
yeah, I understand your point.
All right.
It's kind of silly to me that he only has to do one more, but it's his life, so
That's his deal. That's
Yeah.
that's a him problem.
Next, we have Welcome to Derry series has been announced, which basically talks about the origins of Pennywise the clown. I'm curious about this because really don't ever fully tap into this area, and so as a big fan of it, I'm kind of very very intrigued on how it kind of all got started. I think it could.
Yeah, we got glimpses of when about in terms of historical, like what do they call that? Where historical record where Pennywise would have started technically
Yeah,
in the book and then the original film and then the other one as well.
yeah,
You don't really know. Okay, so yes, but where did the fuck did he come from, right?
yeah,
So there's no real understanding of what it is. It's interesting because I read that thing that you sent me. It says it's set in the 60s. However, this was going, Pennywise should have been going back all the way until like the 1800s at some point. So I'm curious to kind of
I
see.
feel like there was a image of him during the Pilgrim time or the Salem witch trial time. I feel that's really
No. It was like almost like the gold rush era. It was like 1800s, like late 1800s to
yeah,
early
that's
1900s.
yeah, that's kind of the Salem witch era.
Yeah, but wrong
Like
coast.
16, 1700.
Salem was East Coast.
Yeah, he's on the East Coast. That's where Derry is. There's no West Coast at all with Pennywise.
Oh, that's right. because Derry is
Derry, Massachusetts, or Derry, Maine. Maine, I believe it's Maine.
Maine. Yeah, that's right. It's in Maine. Shoot, you're right.
Remember, it's Stephen King. Stephen King's all East Coast.
Right. Well, I mean, we don't really review series, and I remember reaching out to you a while back about a series coming out starring the Penguin on Max with what's his name? My man.
Yeah, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, thank you. So that is a series that I'm happy to watch and to review at some point. This is another one of those series that I would watch and review it if you were down, for sure.
Yeah, since there's no backstory and we're starting from the beginning, that's a lot more feasible than
Right.
and having to watch, like, starting a Lord of the Rings or starting a Game of Thrones one. That takes too much back work to do.
Hey, we're on season 5, episode 9. It's like, Jesus, man, like, I can't do it.
No.
So moving on, there is going to be a Running Man reboot, and you remember the Running Man starring Arnold Schwarzenegger from back in the day, and it's set for our main man from Top Gun, Glenn Powell, to star as the Running Man in this role. This is going to be interesting because this could go horribly wrong, or this could be something that is really amazing and sets a new tone for that sort of franchise, even though it was just one.
Running Man Schwarzenegger, right?
Yes, so Schwarzenegger, like you just said.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion because I never saw the original. Obviously, Glenn Powell is a very different actor than Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I don't feel like it's not possible. I don't know enough about it. So,
Yep.
But this next one, Pete, I do know a lot about, and there's a few things. I actually have 2 things about this one, but the first is Logan: Rise of the Wolverine is moving forward with Taron Egerton with the Russo brothers to direct it. That I'm excited about. But then also, even today, I saw that there's a cameo in the Wolverine with Channing Tatum as Gambit and X-23. I forgot the name of the X-23, but
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I'm excited about that. I'm definitely excited to see more Gambit. We need more Gambit in this.
I'm excited about just anything Wolverine, and I'm glad that they picked. I'm glad they took so long to pick an actual Wolverine, and I think Taron Egerton is phenomenal. So, talk about reboots, and there are now rumors, ladies and gentlemen, that both John Travolta and Nicolas Cage have been attached to a Face Off sequel. I'm not kidding you. This is not a dream. Stop pitching yourself. This could be a reality. Let's stay tuned for this. If this happens, I'm going to be the most elated person in the entire world. I can't wait if there was ever a Face Off 2. And you get both guys, let's go.
I'm just curious. I mean, they might suspend belief a little bit in terms of like how they get it done, or it might be something semi-ridiculous, but
I'll get it done.
If it's as good as like the first one, what I liked is it was just well crafted. John Woo directed that one, and with the music and the cinematography, along with the storyline was excellent. So I'm all in with these 2 guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. And then the Fantastic Four cast has finally been revealed. We talked about how in the only MCU where we saw what's his face, Mr. Fantastic, it was John Krasinski, but now it's been revealed that Pedro Pascal is going to be Mr. Fantastic, with Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and also Julia Garner will be Silver Surfer, the female Silver Surfer, of course.
I didn't understand this one because I thought it was sort of revealed very cleverly and strategically who was going to be the Fantastic Four moving forward, unless that's MCU Fantastic Four and this is like an offshoot. But I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like Pedro Pascal is amazing. He's a phenomenal actor. He's one of the best out there. How I don't know if I see him as Mr. Fantastic. I love Vanessa Kirby. She's gorgeous. I can see her in that role. I don't know why they decided on doing a Silver Surfer female. Like this reminds me of when they were doing the Nicolas Cage Superman movie, and they were going to bring in Chris Rock as Jimmy Olsen. It's like Jimmy Olsen was this redheaded, freckle-faced white kid, but now we're going to bring in like Chris Rock to play that role. It's Silver Surfer is not a woman, right? Or am I wrong?
I think it's a different character. So I think there is a male one and a female one.
Oh, so there's different. Okay, well then I take it back.
Yeah.
Yay, Julie Garner.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't get it.
Yeah. All right. That's going to wrap it up for that section. Now we're going to move into our box office. This is going to be fun because I know this is going to upset you. So it tops in the box office. We kind of talked about it in our other podcast, but Civil War led the way with 11 million this week. Overall, this was an underwhelming week for box office. But Civil War has now made 59 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. So not quite profitable yet, but it's still got legs. So we'll see. And this week is not another heavy hitting week. Challengers is the only major release, so Civil War could theoretically still be tops in the box office. So we'll see. Second is Abigail, which made 10 million on its opening weekend. That is now made 17 worldwide on a $28 million budget. So again, that's also not made its money. 20, it's kind of a high budget, so we'll see. Maybe it's not been released in all the markets yet, but we'll see. But that's still got an upward battle to become profitable, unless it's going to last a while. But as you're going to hear, we're really now starting in the heyday of summer blockbuster season, as you'll hear in our next section. But it's going to be tough for a lot of these movies to start being profitable unless people just start going to see a lot of movies. So
yeah,
we will see. Next, and this has probably been the biggest surprise, I would say, box office wise of the year, but Godzilla x Kong pulled in another 9.6 million. This now is up to 488 million worldwide on a 100.
What are we doing?
Budget.
What are we doing? What, ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? Like that's not the movie that you should be going and seeing. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's crushed.
$500 million on that movie. Like I could write that.
Well, and that's how you can take some of these losses. That's kind of how the formula works. Is you need one of these to hit, and then that it basically pays for all your other movies. So, yeah. Next, and this is probably my biggest disappointment is Ministry of Angelini Warfare. Just pulled under $9 million, 11 million worldwide.
Now that's a fun film. Like that, you go and you have a great time the entire time, as opposed to Kong, where you're just like, what are we watching?
This should have been making $100 million a year. I don't understand, with Guy Richie and Jerry Bruckheimer, and it was a good script, well cast. I don't understand how this has not made $100 million, but it's got a super uphill battle.
It's outrageous.
Hopefully people will start seeing this and listen to us. So, and then lastly, it came in fifth. This one is a weird movie as well. Spy X Family Code: White. I don't know if you've heard of this film, Pete. We've not reviewed this at all.
No, I've never heard of that in my life.
Apparently, I could not get a confirmation on this, but so this made 4.8 million. This is a Japanese film, but this has made $52 million worldwide. But Pete, the caveat is, I read one place and it said Forbes, $274 million budget. Like what? There's no way.
And it only made 50 million?
56 million, yeah. Or 52 million, yeah.
Yeah, they call that a bomb.
Well, but who would approve of a $274 million budget for a movie we've never even heard of? Like,
whatever that is, we should contact them immediately.
Jeez, I know. They're throwing money away.
I've got ideas.
Yeah. I'm super surprised if that's the actual budget, because that just seems amazingly high.
Unbelievable.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our box office section. And lastly, Pete, we got upcoming films to look forward to. Like I just mentioned, this is the summer blockbuster season. We're in it now, and I believe it starts with The Fall Guy, and that starts May 3rd, and that's going to be a big movie. obviously starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. Then the following week, we head into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's May.
I'm rewatching the other ones for now.
Yeah. I like the first three, so definitely looking forward to this one. Right after that is John Krasinski's If, which stars Ryan Reynolds as well. That's May 17th. And then the following weekend, Pete, we got Furiosa, a Mad Max saga with Anya Joy-Taylor. Did I say that right?
Yeah, those are the biggest upcoming ones. I mean, a sneaky good one might be the Chapter 1 of The Strangers coming out, which is a thriller horror movie, which has always been good. So we'll see. Yeah. I'm looking forward to some. There's a lot of great movies coming up. Tarot, which is a super great horror film. But okay, let's go.
All right. Well, yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us here on Movie News. Make sure you check out our other podcasts we just reviewed. No, that was the last one. We just reviewed Ministry of Angelic Warfare.
So a movie that nobody's saying, even though it's great.
Yeah. As well as Challengers. That's that episode. Drew and I, in our Paul's Old Ass Movie Classics, we just reviewed The Third Man, which is a solid old noir film. If you haven't seen that, if you want to join our old ass movie club. And then we also have, we just reviewed Ghostbusters. If you haven't seen that one, we revisit the classic movie on that one. And then Tombstone will be coming out next week. So stay tuned to that one. That one's going to be fun. So with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.